Hello, it's time now for the House Whisperer Show on WWDB Talk 860. I'm Barry Reisman, inviting you to stay tuned for expert advice about maintaining your house from the roof to the basement with a guy who knows everything about that and everything in between, professional home inspector Jack Milne. Jack, glad to talk to you again.
Well, thank you, Barry. It's always good to be back on WWDB. Spring is in the air, summer's around the corner. I just hope spring lasts just a little bit longer. But today, I'm visiting the email box. I had a great question from Gwen, but as we all know, the moral of our story is where every house has a story. And it's so true. I mean, as a professional home inspector, what I get to see on a daily basis is incredible. And every house is a little bit different. The clients, God bless them, are all different. Their needs are different. Their wants are different. And just to be able to help them through a very difficult process is very rewarding for me. So, before we kick in with Gwen's question, let me give you the appetizer here. Gwen's question was this: we're buying a second home at the beach. When the home is inspected, what's really different between our home in Marlton and the one in Ocean City? Giving you that teaser, first off, I want to thank the sponsors, and I always ask, please let them know that you heard their ad on the House Whisperer Show. So Bucksmont Inspections, again, for those of you who live in the country that have on-site sewage, by now your grass has to be cut and maintained, but if you're starting to step in wet stuff and you're not quite sure what it is, it could be your overflowing septic system. So I ask that you reach out to Bucksmont Inspections, and their website is bucksmontinspections.com. Borough exterminating, if you live in the Glen Olden area or anywhere Delaware County, Chester County, even into Philadelphia, and parts of Montgomery County. They're very good at what they do. They're a third-generation wood-destroying insect company. They also do radon testing. So their website is boroughexterminating.com. And with Pest Blast, they're offering radon, mold, wood-destroying insect inspections, as well as pest removal. With the summer right around the corner, if you're hearing those pesky pests above your head scratching away, you should reach back to Pest Blaster at pestblaster.com. Brainfleshgear.com. An eclectic bunch of people, and I love them to death. Anything that you need in unique outerwear, innerwear, whatever, why don't you reach them at contact@brainfleshgear.com, or you can't make it any simpler than brainfleshgear.com. Of course, Tri-County Inspection Company. We've been offering professional home inspections now for over 30 years. We've served a little bit over 71,000 clients, be they commercial buyers, real estate purchasers for investment use, again, beach properties, inland properties. We have looked at everything, churches, shopping centers. So anything that you need to be inspected, we at Tri-County can help you out. And I ask that you visit the website at tcinspect.com. So keep in mind, email me with any questions or thoughts to the housewhisperershow@gmail.com. I love answering questions because it's my listeners who have these questions like Gwen that I can actually dedicate time, because one question I can answer and serve many, many people. So, and also visit the website at thehousewhisperer.com. Every week I want to say, and I want to remind you to let you know that the show is moving to 11 a.m. on Sunday starting June 1st. So wake up, have coffee, have breakfast, and tune me in on WWDB. And podcasts of the show are available all week at your convenience at www.dbam.com. So let's kick in. Today's show, when inspecting a house at the beach, what do you look for that may be different inland? So basically, houses are built better at the beach. Now, I think back to Hurricane Sandy, because, man, the beach took a killing. But the houses that were mostly devastated were those that were built in the 1930s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. Construction techniques really started changing in the mid to late 70s and, of course, 80s on. And, so the beach is actually a very good experiment as to see what works versus what doesn't work. And slowly but surely, these ideas that are brought at the beach are actually moving inland. And so I want to talk about a few of them. In the 1990s, the use of shelter wrap, hurricane straps, stainless steel hardware for windows are but a few things that are now required for our homes in and I'm going to call it inland. New construction started using hurricane straps in the early 2000s, and these straps are what secure the roof rafters and the ceiling joists to the top plates or the very top of the walls to help prevent blow-off of roof systems literally in hurricanes. And that's why they call them hurricane straps. Lateral bracing. That's a term that really came into vogue after Hurricane Andrew blew through Miami. And I don't know if you remember that one, but that was in about the mid to early 80s. And what they found is that those homes that utilized just a couple 2x4s on a diagonal pattern that tied one rafter to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next, withstood the gale force winds 5 times greater than those that didn't have lateral bracing. So if you ever look at the Weather Channel or any of these other TV shows where you see devastation after hurricanes, tornadoes, etc., it's usually those that don't marry these lateral braces to their rafters that fall apart like dominoes. So even now when I inspect homes that were built prior to Hurricane Andrew, I still suggest lateral bracing be installed because it's so easy to do. So wear and tear. I think at the beach, because we're dealing with the wind and the sand and the sun and the dampness, older homes that are painted require many more coats of paint more often. The newer homes at the beach, they do try to take the maintenance away. And I think that's awesome because, again, today they're what I call wrapped and capped with vinyl siding, vinyl soffit, PVC-coated aluminum capping for fascia and rake boards, fiberglass support posts, vinyl railings on the decks, fiberglass decks, which are wonderful, and all materials that do not weather as quickly. And I built a house in Ocean City back in the early 1990s, and one of the things I put on was fiberglass decking. And I bring this up to some of my clients who live in and around the city and the surrounding burbs who want to put a deck on their roof or over a one-story garage that, you can actually put a door where a window is leading out of the bedroom. And I tell them to consider fiberglass decking, and they look at me like, I don't even know what you're talking about. So here's a technology that's been around for 20-plus years at the shore that nobody knows what it is inland. So, again, these are some of the things that inspecting, houses at the shore as well as inspecting houses everywhere around here, I can bring to light for my clients. So, roofing systems. Let's talk about that. There's a product now called Ice and Water Shield that was used at the beach first. And what's really neat about this material is that you drive a nail through it, and the material wraps around the barb of the nail. It has an adhesive that actually sticks to the roof deck to prevent wind from getting beneath the felts and beneath the shingles and making them blow off. But inland, it also prevents ice damming. So now all new roof systems by code has to have ice and water shield at least in the first 4 feet. And again, we learned this from building at the beaches. Foundations or lack of such. Most of the times at the beach, pilings are driven to bedrock. And that's how my house is actually anchored to the earth, not really in contact with the earth, but is sat on pilings. So most homes on what I call the barrier islands are supported by wood because the foundations, if you dig down, you're going to hit water. So there's only key points in around these areas that will actually have a God-given crawl space where you're 3 to 4 feet underneath the home. So these pilings are notched to support the beams, which are typically 3 by 12s. and are through bolted with galvanized bolts with nuts and washers. So the focus for the home inspector has to be made where the pilings come in contact with sand, soil, or mud. So, Barry, I'm not quite sure where we are with the commercial break, but why don't we take it now?
Yeah, it's a good time to do it right now.
Okay. And when we come back, folks, we're going to still talk about pilings and some of the things that I have seen at the beach. So hang in there. We'll be right back on the House Whisperer.
Yeah, don't touch that dial. Don't touch that computer. Jack Milne will be right back right after this.
Boro Exterminating has been specializing in wood-destroying insect inspection and control for over 40 years, serving Philadelphia and the surrounding counties. All inspectors are state certified and ensure providing their clients with professional inspections and treatments. Boro not only performs conventional termite treatments, but also handles special services like historic buildings and homes with wells, creeks, or ponds. The client is assured that all treatments will be performed safely when you hire Boro to do the work. They also provide radon testing in their service area. Boro's full-time office staff is available to help you schedule an appointment. Just call 610-586-5640 or send an email request to boroinspects@verizon.net. That's 610-586-5640 or email at boroinspects@verizon.net.
Specially created t-shirts by BrainFlushGear.com offer the extreme sports enthusiast an opportunity to have a clothing line available that suits their sport. BrainFlushGear.com understands that when we get the moment where we can jump on our motorcycles, wave runners, surfboards, snowmobiles, or skateboards, it can be priceless. They offer custom artwork including silk screening, transfers, and embroidery. Speak to one of their consultants today and they'll help you create your own Brain Flush. Visit BrainFlushGear.com or email them at contact@BrainFlushGear.com.
For your septic inspection and testing needs, please consider Bucksmont Inspections. They've been serving the Bucks and Montgomery County areas for over 15 years. As members of the Pennsylvania Septic Management Association, the Pennsylvania Association of Sewage Enforcement Officers, and the Pennsylvania Association for Professional Soil Scientists, Bucksmont Inspections can inspect your existing septic system or test for your new septic system placement. Please call Rob Bowie at 215-669-4213 and say you heard their ad on the House Whisperers show.
As the summer months quickly arrive and the temperatures gradually rise, so do the odds of all those filthy and unwanted critters invading your home like rodents, roaches, termites, and flies. Oh my! This summer, if you want to feel safe and secure from a possible creeping, crawling disaster, do yourself a favor and call the exterminating experts at Pest Blaster for all your pest control needs, including tests for radon and mold. Please visit pestblaster.com and you'll be sold. 215-295-5555.
Tri-County Inspection Company has been providing professional home inspections, commercial inspections, and historic property evaluations for over 25 years. Tri-County Inspection Company covers 13 counties, serving both New Jersey and Pennsylvania. They've performed inspections for over 70,000 clients and are members of the American Society of Home Inspectors, as well as the Pennsylvania Home Inspectors Coalition. They are licensed in both Philadelphia and New Jersey. For all of your real estate transactions, call Tri-County Inspections at 215-295-2030. For their New Jersey clientele, call 856-853-4224. In PA, call 215-295-2030. In New Jersey, 856-853-4224.
Our house is a very, very, very fine house with 2 cats in the yard.
And we are back with Jack Milne, the House Whisperer at WWDB. As always, a fascinating topic, and Jack, let's hear more.
Well, thank you, Barry. Before we took the station break, we were talking about pilings at the beach. And pilings in the old days were treated with creosote, which is a tar-based product, which really kept the insects away and smelled like the dickens. Well, today they're made with pressure-treated materials. Now, one of the things I always tell my clients about is homes that are built on pilings can tend to move a little bit with high winds. And I'm on the second floor of my home, and believe me, those high winds, you move slightly. It's pretty interesting. Concrete block is used, again, when the soils are significant enough to support the structure. But, there's a place called Marion Park that, if you're familiar with Ocean City, you come in off the 34th Street Bridge, and you're heading towards the ocean, and there's this community to the right. This whole area was actually bay water that they filled in and created a community. And my grandmother had a house built there in about the late 50s. They didn't know too much about the pilings at that point, so they figured they would put in a concrete block with crawl spaces. The sad part is these small ranchers and split levels and these little two-story homes began to settle significantly, whereby split levels literally split in the middle. And my mother, I guess when she took my grandmother's house over in the 90s, actually had to have the house raised and sat on pilings and then use concrete block up to the new elevation. So this is a whole area that's actually pretty interesting as from my point of view as a home inspector, where the experiment failed. So there are a lot of teardowns in that area now. They're starting to build, these larger homes on pilings. But if you ever have a chance to drive through there, some of the original homes look pretty interesting, to say the least. So today at the beach we have what are called breakaway walls, foundation louvers, and they're all designed to fail with flooding conditions. And as we all know, Hurricane Sandra, now there's a combination of two different hurricanes. Hurricane Sandy, just a few years ago at this point, blew through and Ocean City. And, one thing I found, and we were there the weekend afterwards, is that as the earth movers were literally, moving piles of sand off Central Avenue, the dunes that they used to protect the homes actually went into the homes. So I was looking at houses that had 5 to 6 feet of sand on their first floor. Now, it was a mess. There's no doubt about it. But all those beachfront properties stood. And that's what I found amazing. So, I'm sure the cleanup was incredible, but there weren't any teardowns because of the hurricane. And that's what comes with the new technology that we have seen over the last 20 years or so. Mechanical systems, I think salt can affect them differently, and especially longevity. For example, the steel casing around air conditioning condensing units may well rust out before the aluminum fins wear out. My house now is 22 years old. I still have the original heating and cooling equipment. I am seeing a few of my neighbors starting to update theirs. Hopefully I won't need mine yet, but I'm going to do my thorough check before the summer kicks in, and I'll keep you posted. Heat exchangers may corrode faster at the beach, and again, the reason because of that is the salt air. The heat exchanger is what literally exchanges the good air going to your home versus the bad air that goes up the chimney. And most of these materials now are made of lake-aged steel or aluminum. So the aluminum heat exchangers are lasting a little bit longer than the steel heat exchangers. So inland furnaces can last about 25 years. At the beach, maybe 20, and extending the life to 25. You might be lucky there. Electrical systems, not much of a change. Water heaters, you don't get as much use at the beach because they're primarily seasonal homes, and because of that, they wear out faster. So here's something that because you don't use it, you have to replace it sooner. And think about it, as we turn down the water heaters as we leave and then we crank them up when we rise, the expansion and contraction can affect the casing of which the water sits and allow them to leak more rapidly. How many houses inland have outdoor showers? So that's definitely that we don't see here. But at the beach, there's no formal drains. Typically, the water runs off onto concrete or is absorbed by the sand. So these are systems that are generally turned off and drained before I get a chance to inspect them. So, and FYI, being a part-time resident of Ocean City, and I'm sure it's like this also with Shore Points, your annual water bill is prorated based on your summer usage. And then what they do is they times it by 3. So you have to pay the same amount for your water all year round that you did for your summer, even though you may not physically be there. So if you're looking to buy at one of these shore resorts, you may want to look into that. Taxes will also tend to be a bit higher at the beach because it's considered a resort town. I know mine are higher in Ocean City than they are for my house in Yardley, and what's ironic is I don't even touch the ground in Ocean City. Just my steps do. The other thing, too, is contractors may be difficult to find, especially if the waves are high for surfing or the fish are running. And I talked to a client the other day who has a mountain house, and he goes, Jack, the first day of hunting, you can't find anybody. They close the schools, so if you need anything to be done, anticipate working with contractors, but at the same time, you're going to pay another 20 to 30% more than you do living inland. So again, resort towns, they can take advantage of you in a couple different ways. What I do find is space within homes are at a premium. Most homes I inspect are 3 bedrooms with 2 baths and are typically what I call, stackables. So Ocean City has a lot of condos, so you have one house on top of the other, or you go side by side. But the other stackables I find are washers and dryers. You might get a garage, but you usually do get some degree of outside storage, for trash cans and bicycles and things like that. Heat-wise, I see a lot of gas. I see a lot of electric baseboard, and I am starting to see a lot of heat pumps. So for electric baseboard, those are homes, that were built in the 60s and 70s. I think today, if you're not gas, you are electrically heated with a heat pump that offers both heating and cooling. I don't see any oil at the beach. So those are your 3 primary choices for heating and cooling your home. Air conditioning, again, maybe. I do see a lot of through-wall units or window units, and more with their newer homes, they're definitely going to be central air. Teardowns. In Ocean City, they average 500 starts a year. It's an incredible number, and the island's only 6 miles long. So a house here today, gone tomorrow, a new house by the beginning of next summer. So they are occurring all the time. Lifting of houses is the latest thing I see. Again, particularly because of Hurricane Sandy, and some of these lifts, as I call them, are more inland than you would expect. So it's not only some of the beach properties are 1 block in or 2 block in, but I'm starting to see a lot of lifting on the bay side. And the ocean and the waters and the tides don't really come up as high on the bay as they do on the ocean. Barry, I don't know how much time I have, but I want to take a minute on rents.
We're okay. We're good. Just keep talking.
Awesome. Okay, good. Because rents are big at the beach. And, if you plan to rent your investment, the closer to the beach, the more you can ask. But at the same time, the closer to the beach, the more you're going to pay. But at the same time, there's going to be more inherent risk on the ocean side than on the bay side. So as a business decision for an investment property, you might be able to pull $4,000 to $5,000 a week when you're closer to the beach, and maybe $1,500 to $2,500 closer back on the bay. But at the same time, you're not going to take on the punishing elements that you are living closer to the ocean. If you're going to rent your house, you have to create what I call a locked personal closet. So these are your personal items that you want to make sure are locked away because, you don't know who is in your home unless you do careful screening through a realtor or that you rent to close friends. But the rental season typically does run from Memorial Day to Labor Day. So I do ask that you work with a realtor. Please get referrals and make sure that they sign damage waivers. Think as your home investment as a business, because it is. And you also want to check with your homeowner's insurance as well as liability insurance. And again, one of the things I found out living, and having a house in Ocean City is at 11 o'clock, man, the curtain comes down. So if you're, you have to stress this to your clients who are renting the property, because they now have noise ordinances that are pretty severe. So just FYI on my part, because I've got kids too. As to inside scoop from me being an old lifeguard in Ocean City, September is the best month of the entire season.
Love it there. Jack, we are out of time.
Oh, my goodness. Real quick, the weather's great. The ocean water is still warm. School is open, and the crowds are gone.
September in Ocean City. It's beautiful.
With a good book. So closing on that note, get to the beach. Enjoy it. Enjoy September. Please spend time with friends and family. And I'll see you next week on the House Whisperer Show.
All right. Always great having Jack Milne on WWDB. And make sure you do tune in next week for another edition of the House Whisperer Show. Professional home inspector Jack Milne is here. If you'd like to listen to previous programs, you don't want to miss a word. Just go to thehousewhisperershow.com. If you have any questions, go to that website too. And this is Barry Reisman. Thank you very much for listening.
Easy 'cause of you.